Here in the time of Revelation, Sarah, no. I'm sorry, guys. As soon as I start recording this video, no, naughty. Shh. Down, down. Here in the period of Revelations, we're learning things that we never knew before. Secret, hidden truths are coming to the forefront. We're learning the secrets. I'm sorry, my dogs are being bad. We're learning the secrets of who has been running the world and how they've been running the world, and something that wasn't really brought to anyone's attention until the last few months was the Marine Kingdom. And now I'm seeing a bunch of information on the Marine Kingdom. And so I'm going to make a short video on the Marine Kingdom and why it is relevant. Why do we see so much about the Marine Kingdom? And this is primarily where Satan's army is located and where they're working from. So why didn't we hear about this before? Well, perhaps if we did, someone might have done something about it, or they would have just sounded ridiculous. But the reason why Satan's army is based under the sea, and in the sea, yes, like the Little Mermaid, is for a very simple reason, which we might all be able to figure out if we thought long and hard enough, about a story which we all know and we've all heard. There's a story about Noah and the flood. Now, this came out in the last few years, the reason for this flood, and it was hypothesized, and I believe that it's true, and there's enough information in the Bible to back this up, that the reason the earth was flooded is because of Nephilim, which were the ungodly hybrid children of humans and angels and animals. And since these creations, they were not ordained by God, and since they were forbidden, they did not come with a direct connection to God, so they did not have the unconditional love, the compassion and empathy of other created beings like angels and humans. They did not have these things. So, as the earth was overcome with these hybrid beings, they were running around wreaking havoc, murdering, killing, torturing, doing all types of horrible things. And the hybrid children between humans and angels could grow to gigantic sizes. And once they ate all the food that was available, and people would be starving to death, and they'd eat all the livestock that was available, and they had to eat the humans that were available. And when those humans ran out, they had to eat each other. So this is awful, and this is exactly why God regretted making the world at that point. But it's not in the sense that God is ever wrong. That's not what this means. It's just sadness, I would say. And to repent means to turn back. It doesn't mean that God made a mistake, because there are no mistakes. Because we have free will, and what the enemy did for evil, God has turned into good. And it was actually used now to create this amazing story where we choose between right and wrong. And I hope you guys are paying attention and not missing out what's going on right now. So, now consider the entire world is flooded, and yes, God gave all of the inhabitants of the world plenty of time. They have 100 years or so. I should have looked this up beforehand, but it took Noah a very long time to build that ark. And during this time, people were given warnings, and they did not take heed. They laughed at him, they mocked him. So he had plenty of time. They had plenty of time to repent. They had plenty of time to change their ways. Even the warning or thought of some calamity possibly occurring, you might think, could cause some people to behave in a better manner, just in case they might be judged by the one true Creator God. Just in case it were true, perhaps they could improve their character, or say, hey, if the floodwaters start to rise, could I get on that boat? But no. Now, the entire earth was filled with these hybrid offspring children without empathy or compassion, just taking advantage of each other, stealing, just every immoral, horrible thing you can imagine. And so when the waters came down, the Nephilim on the earth were drowned. And the Nephilims in the skies were drowned, because they could only fly for so long without being able to land. And even if they could fly so long, where was the food? there was no food because all the trees were covered. And the dead bodies of the other creatures would sink down to the bottom of the sea, providing lots of nourishment for those Nephilim, those hybrid offspring living under the water. And in fact, those would be the only ones which would have survived the flood. The marine kingdom, they would have survived the flood. Satan and the devil's armies, the fallen angels' hybrid children with aquatic sea life, they survived the flood. And they are very much alive and continuing to make children to this day. Possibly it's ceased now, but I'm not sure about that. Regardless, they are living beings, not spirits. Now, you guys can research narcissism if you've heard about that or not heard about that. The main possessing demon in control of this body is a Leviathan demon. Now, I actually believe that they have more than one body, and one is a clone. And I believe that one of the bodies of this human is just possessed by all types of demonic spirits that have already passed, and they don't have physical bodies. They're just spirits possessing. And I believe that they also have a main host, which is actually your sea spirit. It is a Leviathan human hybrid, a serpent humanoid, which some might call a reptilian. But these are very much alive, and they're still being born, unless God has put an end to it in the last few years, which is possible. I'm not going to speak upon that, which I'm not sure. But these are the beings that walk around and masquerade as humans. They're your counterfeit humans. And so the deval demon in the narcissist is actually a separate being, which I think actually walks around on the earth, alive, very much alive, using technology or something like a hologram to make itself look human. But it is actually a Leviathan human hybrid. And God blessed me with the ability to see my ex-husband in his true form and what he looked like. His body was shaped like the same human body, about 6 foot tall. He was still wearing clothes. He still had hands and feet. Now, I couldn't see everything because there was a leather jacket and there were pants. So I could see that. But the head expanded into a round head, and the eyes grew into large, bright yellow cat eyes, and the skin changed to this green, very perfect, like scaly skin, very much like a cartoon. And I noticed that he was swaying back and forth, wobbling slightly. And then I put this together. Hearing that the Leviathan demon, the Leviathan actually is not a demon. It's a Nephilim, and there are differences. Demons are hybrid children between animals and angels, and many of these are dead. It would only be the ones that were under the sea that would still be alive. The Nephilim are part human instead of part animal, so they have a higher level of intelligence, and they can actually pass as being a human, whereas your demons cannot. And so when I noticed the swaying, I didn't think about it at the time, and I wasn't thinking about the marine kingdom. But I could tell that this being, although it was walking around on the earth, was not meant to live on the earth, or it was a hybrid. The way that it was swaying, to me, it looked almost like a sea creature. If you took a fish and you took a human, and to where it wasn't quite stable on its legs, like a baby horse. And these are very wicked, evil spirits that still exist. But how great is God that the kingdom that survived is under the sea and far away from us most of the time. And it's not until here at the end times that they had their clone army, that they had all these people that they overtook, got involved in types of witchcraft and had them trick them into giving up their body. But they couldn't just trick them into giving up their body to demonic possession. In order for the sea spirits like the Nephilim to come and pretend and masquerade as the human, they actually needed to be given full rights. Much like you could buy rights to a soundtrack, a song, or a movie. Now, the human isn't getting any royalties, I will say that. But here at the end times, the main being is actually not dead, is very much alive, and they use technology to appear human, and they come from the marine kingdom. And being a hybrid sea serpent, the Leviathan, being a hybrid human, I imagine that they could go under the water and swim and survive there, and they can also walk around on the earth and survive there. As I said before, how great is God, though, is that the damage that they can do is limited. Before the flood, we had giants roaming the earth, cannibalizing humans, and they ate up all the food, and when the food ran out, they ate up all the animals, and when the animals ran out, they ate up other humans, and when the humans ran out, then they had to eat each other. And the poor parents of these ungodly hybrids had to watch them kill each other. And they didn't just kill each other for food. They also just killed each other because they're wicked and evil. So this is a point maybe other people have not considered as the reason why Satan's army is under the sea. Because in the flood, the ones on the earth and the ones in the air perished. The ones under the sea were very much alive, and if anything, they were nourished by all of the dead bodies and dead souls. And they had to really come back with a vengeance against God, seeing their brethren murdered. Although they deserved it, being evil, they can never accept responsibility. They can't take accountability. They can only blame and play the victim. So of course this must be turned around on God, and they must take vengeance out on humanity. So stay vigilant, be aware. The Marine Kingdom has not really been exposed until this last year. I don't think so. I didn't hear a lot about it. And here we're in the period of Revelations. We're in end times, where all that was hidden is coming to the forefront. It's being exposed. So I'm going to click on a few pictures here. And I'm not sure they look like this, because I will tell you honestly, my ex-husband in his serpent humanoid form was actually quite adorable, but he was a jerk. So no, you don't want to be with these. Not unless you like your entire life destroyed, but they were quite cute, honestly. And so we must look at the heart and not at the physical appearance. Let's see if you guys know what sirens are. According to the Book of Enoch and other apocrypha, the sirens were the mothers of these hybrid children. So they were romanced by the fallen angels and decided to marry them or have children with them. And their punishment from God was to be turned into sirens. And they had to watch their children murder each other. This would be like Ashtaroth or Ishtar. If you look at the logo on the Starbucks cup, it looks very much like that. So I'm not even certain that God had to do anything at all, even though this was God's punishment for them. Doesn't mean necessarily that God even did it. See, this was God's punishment, but it's likely that the devils did this themselves. When the earth was being flooded, they used their technology, much like mRNA, combining aquatic, like fish RNA, with these human women, so that they would be able to survive the flood. And this was probably told or allowed to them. So the fallen angels were allowed to do this by God, or they were told to do this by God, and they probably did this to save the lives of their wives. However, that became a long, horrible, traumatized existence, where they did not die. They lured men to their deaths, probably seeking vengeance as they watched their children murdered. And no, it doesn't seem that bad. Oh, it's a forbidden love, but it's more than that. God forbade this for a very serious reason. So, guys, please post your questions, comments, and concerns. I hope you've learned something here. And if you have any information that I haven't posted or something I've forgotten, I would like to hear that as well. If you'd like your information to be private, then go on over to my username and send me a message there. I really appreciate anyone who watches my content. I try to get good information out there. I know it doesn't look the best. I've been having problems with my camera. Maybe I've got too much stuff saved on my computer. So I'm just trying the best I can to get information out there for you guys. And I'm posting lots of videos, but no, they're not looking good. I don't have the money to hire somebody to make a good video, but If you've been with a narcissist, you've likely been with the Leviathan spirit, which is a human angel hybrid. And some of these angels are Leviathan. So, guys, if you want to know how these marine spirits act, then do some research on narcissists. It's all over the internet right now, because here in the end times, demonic activity is at its height. God bless you all. Thanks so much for listening.